So I don't know how many of y'all have heard of this, but the 7-day discharge is also known as, in healthcare, is also known as a failed discharge. And my whole capstone project was, when I was getting my master's, was on safe discharges. I was attacking 30-day readmissions by drilling down and working on eliminating 7-day readmissions. And what we found was that by optimizing patient self-management education, we were able to drop that 7-day readmission rate like it's hot, okay? Let me tell you a little bit about self-management education and discharge education, right? We already know, like, you work on the discharge for the patient before it's time for the patient to discharge, right? Part of that is education. You need to work on the educating that patient and sharing collaboratively educating that patient, right? With teach back and all the best practices, right? Before it's time for discharge. Because what are you going to do? You're going to just sit there and vomit all these instructions at the patient, hand them a crusty piece of paper and say, bye, and expect them to be just fine. Because guess what? We know that that is not just fine. Evidenced by them rolling back up to your ED within 7 days. Okay. So let's talk about that discharge. That education has to be relevant to the patient in a language that the patient can understand, y'all. Talking over the patient's head doesn't get us anywhere. Why? Because you're just checking a box. You're just saying stuff. You might as well be speaking blah, 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 just like that to the patient and expecting them to take that, run with it, right? But you have to realize this on top of it. One, that patient is probably stressed out, right? Chances are, I mean, depending on where you are in the situation, that patient might not even feel like they're ready to leave. That patient might have been struck unaware that it is time for them to actually discharge because we might not have been doing the best job keeping the patient abreast of the length of stay goal that we have for them, right? So check this out. Discharge, health literate, or on the level that the patient can understand, right? Has to be relevant to the patient, right? So pointing the patient out to a whole bunch of resources that they can't actually access is not relevant, right? Let's go on further than that. And then with that self-management education, guess what? You need to have a plan out also, and that plan needs to be collaborative too, right? Because if the patient doesn't have skin in the game, then what you doing? So that plan needs to be collaborative. The patient needs to be able to have input and understanding of what the plan is if X, Y, and Z happens, okay? This is relevant with any discharge, any successful self-management. When you're dealing with chronic conditions, it applies there. And it also applies especially when it comes to maternal health, okay? Maternal health, we know that patients, I'm not going to say patients are having failed discharges, but I will say that patients are experiencing preventable morbidity and mortality after they discharge from the hospital or birthing center. We know that, okay? That could be for a number of reasons, but I have a nagging suspicion that a lot of that can be clarified and addressed by having an intelligent, dynamic, customized, and relevant self-management, insert blank here, self-management education, but dare I say it, in the age of technology, self-management multi-agent system, baby, support. And when I say support, I'm talking about support that fits you like a dang nab glove. Okay. Like I'm talking about support that's aware of your literal literacy level and your literal understanding of your own condition. Support that is informed of your pregnancy, your history, your attitudes regarding your pregnancy and your history, right? And, dare I say it, objective data that we can glean from biometrics. It's 2025. Look at that. Look at that. Okay? So, check this out. We really want to make a dent. Okay? We want to support these moms. Why don't we not use the tools at our disposal to support moms? And I'm saying these things because this is what I've been hearing. I've been hearing all of this from moms. I myself have experienced this myself, having to go through lists of resources or experiencing something and not knowing which specialist I meant to call, or not being able to access or reach whomever I need to reach in order to ask a question to them, right? Imagine if all of that complexity was known by an advocate that is customized and tailored to you. And this is just the beginning, y'all. This is just the beginning, okay? Our moms are asking for this to be further developed, for this to meet additional needs. And I'm not talking about like an app that moms are trapped in and they're spending all their time typing in this thing. I'm talking about an advocate that is tailored to them and knows their situation, that helps the mothers have the best outcome possible. I'm talking about an advocate that will say to the mom, you're experiencing this. Hey, check this out. These are the warning signs. This is one of the warning signs that we talked about, right? Get to the hospital. This is what I'm talking about, right? Because unfortunately, in current state, when we're not using technology and we're using that crusty old piece of paper that gets lost, who knows where it was? I don't even think I took a picture of that paper, right? Chances are, and that education that we got while we were discharging, chances are we don't know where that is. I'm meeting with providers. I'm meeting with doulas. I'm meeting with midwives. I'm meeting with, I'm actually meeting with officials with public health organizations and whatnot. And they keep saying patient education, patient education, patient education. The patient needs to know this. The patient needs to know that. The patient needs to know this. Instead of attaching a fire hose to that information and shooting it at the patient on their way out the door, why don't we have all of that context and education layered into this assistant, this advocate, that can spoon feed this information in a way that is contextual, right? And we're working on it in a very, very special, particular way, in a way that does not exploit mom's data, that maintains privacy, that is also HIPAA compliant. We're also trying to get providers on board. Providers, if you want to offer this solution to your moms and send a signal that you are down with being in 2025 and offering relevant, customized support to your patients, go to trimesters.ai and click Get Esther. That lets us know that you are down, that lets us know that you're down with this solution, that you're interested in this solution.